O soul, are you weary and troubled? No light in the darkness you see. There's light for a look at the Savior, and life more abundant and free. Turn your eyes upon Jesus, look full in his wonderful face, and the things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace.
This church and our website and our Sunday Bible class, and I hope you're excited for another day of studying how to study, learning how to study the Bible. So we're learning right now how to study Bible tools, but so far in our Bible class, we've been learning how to study the Bible. We've looked at what this course will do for you, 2 key passages about Bible study, as well as studying the right Bible, which Bible should we use, the requirements to effectively study the Bible. We've looked at how to mark your Bible. We looked at different ways, different methods, different things that you can do, and so come up with your own plan. We've looked at rules for Bible interpretation. We looked at studying the importance of studying the Bible dispensationally, and gave nine real basic and clear dispensations and different times that God dealt with man in a different way, not a completely different way, but in different ways God dealt with man, and major things happened during those times, like Noah's flood, the crossing of the Red Sea, and other things. So God dealt with man in different ways, and even now we're living in the time of grace. So, and then during the tribulation, things will be different then, and the millennium and everything. So there are certain dispensations we need to understand as we're studying the Bible. And what we've been looking at lately is using Bible study tools. This is so important because there's a lot of Bible study tools out there. You can, and what we're learning in this is it's not only we're not only learning how to use the Bible study tools, but we're learning what Bible study tools are going to be doctrinally sound. What Bible study tools are going to be useful, because there's a lot of things that are corrupted by other religions, by Calvinism or whatever. So it's good to know, and so it's good to know what is a good Bible study tool to have, and what you wouldn't want to buy, because when you walk into a Christian bookstore, there's a Christian bookstore I go to in Northern Ireland once or twice a year, and but when I go in there, I have to be careful what I get as a pastor, because I don't want to be learning something or teaching you something that's not doctrinally sound. I don't want to be tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine, and so I have to be careful about the materials and the men that I read from. And so it's good for everybody to do that. So, but there's some good. We've looked at a few different things. We've looked at study Bibles, and some of the recommended study Bibles are the Thompson Chain Reference, the Schofield Bible. We looked at that. The Thompson Chain Reference Bible, the Ryrie Study Bible, that's a good one too. And we looked at their strengths. We also looked at their weaknesses and some of the notes and things, and what the men believed. And many of these men whose notes are in these Bibles, they were not sold out on the. They believed in the. They trusted in the critical text, not the received text. So. And so they're going to have their perspective and some other doctrines as well. So it's good to be aware of those things, but those Bibles also can be very beneficial and very helpful to the Bible student. So last week we started looking at the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, and I forgot to bring it with me, but I do have one. So when we start meeting again, when the church starts meeting again here, you'll be able to look through it. And so right now we're on page 9. So we started looking at the Strong's Concordance, and so we're on page 9 if you have your notes. And we've seen the design of the Strong's Concordance, that is very thorough and it's very easy to use. A lot of thought went into it and a lot of work went into the Strong's Concordance. And you can buy, you don't have to put all the work. All the work's been done for you, and it's very easy to use. It's a brilliant reference book, and help you understand things. And so we're gonna learn a bit about how you can use it, how to use the Strong's Concordance. So, and you don't have to have one with you, because the notes in your notes, in your notes, we're going to be looking at definitions and things directly from the Strong's Concordance, and then if you buy one at some point, you can refer back. If you save this, put it, it's got holes in it. If you get one at the church, it has holes in it, and you can take it, or you can watch this video again later on and see what I said about it. But we're going to learn how to use Strong's Concordance, page 9, and it starts out, says use the concordance to find verses. So so how to use a concordance to find verses, and is the first part we're going to look at. So the fill in there is verses. How to find verses. So you can use a Strong's Concordance to find verses themselves. So it says the first use of a concordance is to help a student find verses in the Bible. So, and very often I'll have a verse in my mind, or in the now I usually use a Bible app, which is, you use a search in a Bible app, very similar. But when in the past, when I didn't have the Bible app and I was using a concordance, I would think of a verse, but not, I couldn't think of the reference. I couldn't think of where to find it, and I didn't have a Bible app where I could do a search. They didn't have mobile phones. They didn't have smartphones back then, and so I would get a concordance, and I would know the verse, but not know where to find it, not know the reference. So I would think of a word that was in the verse, and I would go to the concordance and find that word, and then I would find the list of verses, and it gives a short little sample where that word is, and I would find the verse where it fit, and then I'd find the reference, and then I'd be able to turn to it. So the first use of a concordance is to help you find verses in the Bible. It goes on, it says, when searching for a particular verse, it's important to choose a word that is as unique as possible. Find a word that's not going to be found. You don't want to, for God, you're trying to look up for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. You're not going to look up the word for, to try to find the verse, because for is going to be in a lot of verses. So so you're not you're gonna try to find a word that's as unique as possible. It goes on. It says if you choose a common word, there will be too many verses listed, and it'll be difficult to find the one you're looking for. For example, suppose you're trying to find the verse that says, "Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart." You can't remember the reference, but you remember some of the words in the verse. If you tried to look up thyself, you would find nearly 200 verses that use the word thyself. If you tried to find heart, you would find 767 verses. Instead, you should look for the words delight or desire. So there are 52 verses in the Bible that contain the word delight, and only 3 verses that contain the word desires. So, so you would likely find it with the word desires. So, so you're trying to. So when you have a verse in mind and you're trying to find it, you're looking for you're trying to think of a you're gonna search for a word that's not as commonly used in sentences. So, or in the Bible. So number 2, the concordance, to use the concordance. So you can use a concordance to find verses. You can use a concordance to study the meanings of words. So, so the fill in there is meaning, to study the meaning of words. MEANING. And so it goes on. It says, word study is the most basic of all forms of Bible study. You can't possibly understand a passage of the scripture until you first understand the individual words. The following important 4 steps are used to find the fullest possible meaning of a Bible word in the Strong's Concordance. First, look up the meaning of the Greek or Hebrew word. So when you're trying to find the meaning of a word, look up the meaning. If it's from the Old Testament, you'll look up the Hebrew meaning. If it's from the New Testament, you'll look up the Greek meaning. Second, see how the Greek or Hebrew word is translated elsewhere in other places in the Bible. Because sometimes that same word is translated differently in other places. Third, examine the immediate context. Always be careful first to interpret the word in its own immediate context. So look at the word and how does it, what is it saying in the context where it's written. Fourth, see how the word is used in other passages. Bible words also interpret themselves within context of key passages, and we learn that. So if you don't have a concordance, you can always look at the immediate context and look at how the word's used in other passages, other verses, and get an idea of what the word means. And then you can also, but when you use a concordance, you'll also have when you use Strong's Concordance, you'll have the Greek or the Hebrew meaning as well. And so it goes on, it says, let's use some examples to illustrate this method. Grace in Ephesians 2:8. So here in Ephesians 2:8, it says, for by grace are ye saved through faith, in that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. That's verse 9. But not of yourselves, it is the gift of God. So so here, grace, if you looked up the word grace, so the fill in there is grace, Ephesians 2:8. For by grace are ye saved through faith. And this is found so this is a Greek word, charis. Huh?
It's not visible on the screen.
Oh, sorry. Can't do anything about that. So grace, Ephesians 2:8. So you notice the numbers 5485. That would be the Greek reference in the concordance, and there it says charis, or sorry, charis. It is the Greek word, and the Greek word means graciousness as gratifying, of manner or act, abstract or concrete, literal, figurative, or spiritual, especially to the divine influence upon the heart and its reflection in the life, including gratitude. 2, grace means acceptable, benefit, favor, gift, gracious, joy, liberality, pleasure, thanks, or thankworthy. 3, Ephesians 2:8-9. In context, we see that grace means that salvation is not of works, it is a gift. By checking the context, the Bible student is able to test the lexicons. He is not dependent upon the scholars, but can test any man's definition with the Bible itself. So the Bible, so we're able to, so the Bible, so even if Strong's can, so what you're doing is you're looking up the Greek word, but you're also using the Bible to define part in the definition of grace is the right definition. So the only way to find the full meaning of the Bible word is to look at all the significant passages and to interpret each word within its own context. For example, in this case, we learn that there are 2 different usages: grace for salvation and grace for Christian service. So let's look that up. Ephesians 3, 7-8. So Ephesians